Hi everyone, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is a Q&A episode, and you can see right now I actually have a headset on, and so this is what I use in the specials and extra episodes, so that way you can hear my voice, and that's what I actually use. And so since it's actually going to be a little bit noisy in the background, so I decided to actually use this so that way it can actually kind of not have the background noise kind of go in into the recording. Yeah, so let's actually get started, shall we? So Benjamin from Hong Kong, is Triceratops the best known of all horned dinosaurs? Yes. Pretty much the most studied ceratopsian of all. Is Barosaurus a relatively common sauropod? Not really. If you actually, because there's not that many specimens of Barosaurus. There's many specimens of Diplodocus, Apatosaurus. Those are actually the more common sauropods that were actually around in the Morrison Formation. Barosaurus would actually kind of probably be right in the middle. I would probably say there's probably pretty close to 10 specimens of Barosaurus out there. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure that Barosaurus is kind of like right in the middle. Brachiosaurus is a little bit rare in North America, but yeah, you get the idea. Is Stegosaurus the best known of all plated dinosaurs? Yes. Stegosaurus is the most famous of all of the stegosaurs, and so that makes it the most iconic dinosaur because it's the largest of its species, and also it's actually got the really nice plates, and also those really cool spikes on the end of the tail. And did Microraptor evolve into a bird? I wouldn't necessarily actually say that Microraptor evolved into a bird. I would actually say it was more like a transition towards it. Microraptor is a small dinosaur that actually did have features that were actually very similar to birds. So it has the feathers, it actually has the four wings, and so it's mainly a glider. It's not a flapper, so it does not flap its limbs to actually gain more lift or anything like that. So it's pretty much more likely just a glider. And so we're actually going to see Microraptors more likely like a transition toward birds. But birds have been around. Microraptor has been around, and so can't really say that Microraptor evolves into a bird. It's actually a transitional species, kind of like Archaeopteryx is. Archaeopteryx is a transitional species, going from a dinosaur to a bird, and so yeah, that would actually make a lot more sense in that regard. Jody from Kentucky, what are your thoughts on Dougal Dixon's book, The New Dinosaurs? I've heard of this book. I don't have this book. From the illustrations that I actually saw of it, it's basically speculative. Like what could have happened if dinosaurs did not actually go extinct? Well, because it's speculative. It's not really based on any type of scientific facts, really. It's actually just, or any kind of scientific evidence whatsoever. It's more likely like if like all these transitions kind of kept happening, could these dinosaurs actually kind of become these strange oddities? Like a theropod, like a theropod dinosaur that does have teeth, but it's actually starting to form a beak, or otherwise, like say, a ceratopsian would actually lose its horns and frill and actually have more body armor and all that sorts of stuff. But I'd say it's not my type of reading material. I'm just kind of more of the nonfiction type of person, where I rely on the facts and also the evidence that actually is presented. That book has caused kind of a stir in terms of paleontology. Some paleontologists actually don't like it because they actually do see that it's a speculative type of thing. It's not really based on any factual evidence. And so, yeah, that actually kind of makes a little bit kind of counterintuitive for a lot of paleontologists. But there are some that say, I mean, it's just art. It's just art. Like it's just a guy that creates this like a fictional paleo art, and kind of actually goes from that. And sometimes I've heard he actually has looked at certain specimens of dinosaurs and tried to kind of turn them into his own thing, kind of make them almost look like movie monsters in a way from Paleo Art. But I'm not a paleo artist, and so I don't know what he's really thinking in terms of why he was doing this, but it's just more a speculative type of thing. So never read the book, never seen the book. I've seen some of the illustrations on the internet, and I've heard reviews and said that it's not for anybody's cup of tea if they rely on facts, and also if they are more into the science of paleontology, whereas this was just more of like, just I think for like fun, really, just kind of get people's ideas, kind of wondering of what could have happened. All right, some YouTube questions. So Luke Slagter, can a Kodiak bear beat a saber-toothed cat? Even though you wrote saber-toothed tiger, the correct term is saber-toothed cat, not saber-toothed tiger. A Kodiak bear. A Kodiak brown bear, I mean, it's large and it does actually have the muscle mass to actually be able to outdo Smilodon. Now, would they ever come into contact with each other? I would say not, because Kodiak bears have their own type of niche into their environment. So they're a bit omnivorous, but they do lean a little bit more carnivorous in terms of all bears. And so it would actually be very uncommon for them to actually come into contact. Were they around at the same time? Absolutely. I would say that the Kodiak bear would actually have the better advantage in terms of that it actually has the muscle mass, and also it actually would have the better biting power than a saber-toothed cat would. And your other question here, seen here on my Q&A episode previously, is Dinofelis more related to jaguars or leopards? Now, Dinofelis is an ancient saber-toothed cat, and there's a lot of illustrations that actually show it having spots. And so there's some people that think, oh, it must be related to modern-day big cats like leopards, jaguars. But in actuality, if you actually look at the phylogeny, they are not related to any of those. They're not part of the Panthera family at all. They're actually part of an ancient cat lineage, and so they are not related at all to these modern-day cats that we see today. They may have spots because they were mostly found in Africa and parts of Asia as well. That does not mean that they're related to them. Related to jaguars or leopards. So they're an ancient group. It's part of an ancient group of cats that is no longer in existence today. And so, they were not related to jaguars or leopards whatsoever. They had the spots. They were probably nearly the same size as them, but they were not related. And other questions for you is who wins Smilodon and Kodiak bear? I just gave that already. Who wins Hyenodon and Short-faced bear? Short-faced bear. And Hyenodon or Andrewsarchus? Probably Andrewsarchus, because Hyenodon's a tad bit smaller, but also depends on what kind of Hyenodon you're actually talking about. There is a large Hyenodon species called Hyenodon giganteus, and there's Hyenodon horridus. One of the most famous of the Hyenodons is Hyenodon horridus. And Hyenodon horridus is not as big as Andrewsarchus, and so Andrewsarchus would actually have the upper edge, because Andrewsarchus is actually being looked at as possibly an entelodont, but it's still not really known where it does fall, because there's only a single skull of Andrewsarchus that's been found, and found by Roy Chapman Andrews. It's the name Andrewsarchus. Andrewsarchus. But I would say Andrewsarchus has got the edge on that one. All right, that's it for now. Next week would actually be a special episode. I'll let you guys know what kind of prehistoric animal I'm going to talk about through the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. And go on that page, and you can actually like it, and you can see what kind of prehistoric animal I'll talk about. And if you're not on Facebook, that's okay, because you'll get to see what kind of prehistoric animal I'll talk about in the video next week. and so you get to see that. But you can still send me questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochrist71@gmail.com. Or go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you actually post your questions on the wall or in the comments section. And for YouTubers out there, you can actually post your questions in the comments section. So that way, I can read them, and make sure you actually have at least 2 to 3 questions at once in one comment, because if you send me a boatload of questions, I can't read them all, and so I just have to choose which ones I actually are actually better for me to answer. But and also, YouTubers, like the videos, that helps me out, and also subscribe, and also hit that bell to actually get notified about each video that actually gets posted, and you can watch it. And so yeah, and check it out, and hopefully we can actually get to 300 subscribers at some point in the future. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody that actually is interested in paleontology, and actually share the videos. Share the videos to anybody, because that actually helps out a lot and gets a much bigger audience too. So yeah, so go ahead and do that. And so keep your questions short and to the point. You can also follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. It's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you. And also, for younger people out there, to make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education. With a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.